The Las Vegas Raiders have the first overall pick in the draft and are $101 million under the cap with Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, and Max Crosby. Granted, recently having surgery, but he'll be back in full throttle. It's at full throttle. It's I said it a little bit earlier. It's just interesting to me, specifically with the Seattle Seahawks, how Pete Carroll was embraced and accepted and won, for many years there and other places too. Yet, I mean, they wanted him around so much with the Las Vegas Raiders, gave him reportedly a 3-year deal for $45 million, and now they're going to pay him $30 million to walk away. I mean, if you can't work with Pete Carroll, that's eye-opening to me.
It makes you wonder about Mark Davis as an owner and
Tom Brady.
And Tom Brady. I mean, what Mark Davis has done with this franchise, it's been consistently terrible. I think at this point, if I'm Mark Davis, as much as you don't want to relinquish control, you got to know that it's not working, and you've got Tom Brady as an asset. I'd say use him. Do what Tom Brady tells you to do, and basically let him make the key decisions from this point forward. What are we doing at head coach? I would have Tom Brady leading that search. What are the qualities in the head coach that we want? I'd have him asking the questions and doing the interviewing. I'd leverage Brady. There aren't many players I would give that kind of responsibility to, but Tom Brady is one of them. Dude knows how to win. He's smart enough to know what to look for in a coach. And as a former quarterback, I mean, they've got to get the quarterback position right. They haven't had consistently good quarterbacking since Derek Carr, if that even counts. And it's just, and that's where they have to go. They have to get this first overall pick right at quarterback. Mm-hmm. It's obviously not Geno Smith. That was a disaster. The Seahawks were hiding all of Geno Smith's deficiencies. And once he got taken out of Seattle, Geno Smith looked like one of the 2 or 3 worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL. So that's dead.
I have something on the Raiders, but I want to hit on Geno for a second. I was reading, he was actually offered an extension. And he turned it down because he was not getting what he wanted from the Seahawks.
Yeah. Geno Smith?
Geno Smith.
Damn.
Wow. And so, when you think about franchises and leadership that are willing to go in a different direction, like, okay, we're not, Geno, we're happy for you, but you're not holding our feet over the coals here for $40 million a year. We're going to flip you for a pick. A year later, they have Sam Darnold, like John Schneider. I hope he's getting covenant claps in Seattle for the decision that he made, right?
Gotta be. I mean, they rolled the dice on Sam. There was some risk there, right?
Yeah, there
non-trivial risk. And now they're the number 1 seed. Sam has become the second quarterback in the history of the NFL to go 14-win season to 14-win season.
Crazy.
With the different, I think it's for second quarterback to ever do it with 2 different teams, or maybe even, it must be that, 2 different teams. Yeah. And so that front office, Trent Kirchner, John Schneider, they killed their draft too. Their drafts were so good. Nick Amanwari, who we talked about in April a lot as a possible Viking.
The safety?
Yep, the safety.
Yeah, he hits hard.
Stud.
He's good.
Stud. Yeah, they crushed
the
their
other
draft.
Byron Murphy. That was
the other Byron Murphy,
Texas
and
kid.
Gray. Remember all the Gray Zabel talk that we had last April?
Yeah, phenomenal.
Hit on that. I mean, they hammered their draft, and they deserve the success they've had, and I believe the Seahawks are going to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, geez.
Well, back to the Raiders now for a moment. So Tom Brady, I love the idea of him being in the mix and having maybe some advice and his ability maybe to identify that first overall pick. Is it just easily said, oh, well, it's Fernando Mendoza, and that's the end of it. So I like his, but I'm curious, do you have any worries at all? Like, doesn't it feel like this is a Raiders thing where they bring in the best quarterback in the history of the game and they give him that carte blanche and they give him that voice at the table, as you mentioned, whether it's coaching or personnel wise? There's part of me that says, yeah, Tom Brady is super HOF and he was part of a dynasty and he knew how to win with his arm, with his vision, with his offense. And there's some risk associated, I think, with just assuming because he won 6 or 7, 7 Super Bowls, that he can walk in now in an advisory capacity and provide that same excellence of leadership. And we've seen it in other sports. The joke can be made, when you gave Garnett the ability to choose who is and who isn't going to be on the roster.
Yeah.
Troy
Hudson.
Sometimes players play and coaches coach. And, I wonder if there's some risk in terms of, Brady, you tell us what to do. And the best of all time ends up, he's good on the field and awful in the boardroom. That would worry me a bit.
It should. It almost never works. Dan Marino was brought in as a consultant for the Dolphins at a high level, and 18 months later, the whole thing was over. It rarely works. Sometimes it does. John Elway had not trivial input into running the Broncos for a while and making key decisions there.
That's a good example of a guy that did everything right, actually, as a decision maker for the Broncos, except identify a QB. They had to go. They had to go get Manning, and that's not bad, right?
That turned out okay.
They got a Super Bowl, but it was, you had your Brock Osweilers of the world and some complete L's.
Yes.
In that quarterback room, and that was HOF QB not able to identify somebody who could replicate what he was able to do as a player.
Here is why Brady will be different and better than these others who have tried, players trying to become consultants, trying to guide teams. He owns 10% of the Raiders. He is deeply invested in the outcome. So I don't think this is going to be a scenario where Tom Brady isn't in the boardroom because he'd rather be golfing. I think with the ownership, investment, and equity that he has, I think you're going to get Tom Brady's full attention on this. And I think Brady's absolutely capable of identifying the traits in coaches and players that he wants to bring in. I think he can be successful if Mark Davis lets him.
Yeah. Well, he did get, speaking of investments, didn't he get taken by that Bankman-Fried cat and FTX? And maybe
that could be.
It's just a
and his ex-wife was the money earner in the relationship.
Everybody got taken by that guy. That's not fair. But what if the situation here? He's got that 10%. He's stealing intel from his broadcast job, and that allows him to turn things over for the Raiders.
The voice of Eric Nordquist, producer of 9 to Noon. You're also hearing Paul Charchian. The OG Feast, the original gang, has gotten back together for a week. Paul Charchian in town, stopped by KFAN to join us for a couple of hours, sneaking up on 10:15, and I'm Paul Allen. This is 9 to Noon. Mike McDaniel, the now fired head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, I make that of the Miami Dolphins, formerly with the San Francisco 49ers. There was a piece of news from the Rumorville market that popped yesterday, and it as the NFC North goes, not going to call it alarming, that would be too strong, but supposedly the Detroit Lions want Mike McDaniel to come in and take their offensive coordinator job. Oh my God. And the reason I murmur it is, like Mike McDaniel or not, think he was overmatched as a head coach or not, he's widely considered one of the best run game coordinators in the last X amount of years in the National Football League. And you got Montgomery, and you got Jahmyr Gibbs, and you got some tight ends who can block with an offensive line that has Penei Sewell, but needs work in some other spots. Mike McDaniel coordinating the Detroit Lions offense, that has a potential to be a little scary, boys.
I don't think Viking fans want that. I do not want Mike McDaniel as an offensive coordinator in the division. Thank you very much. As a head coach, I'd take him. I don't want him focused on one side of the ball only. And the single biggest reason the Lions are not in the playoffs is because they chose the wrong offensive coordinator in John Morton.
And they got fired already.
He got fired. They took away his play calling duties halfway through the season. Yep. He was an absolute L. And, it was something of a talker in the offseason. Are the Lions going to struggle losing both of their coordinators? You remember 2 years ago, the Eagles struggled when they lost both of their coordinators. Right. It's, getting that right is incredibly important. Look at what Brian Flores has meant to this defense. The coordinator position, just absolutely critical. Got to get it right. And if you don't, your team languishes. This is the Vikings are set offensively with Kevin O'Connell. If Brian Flores leaves, they have to get a fill-in that can perform at 90% as well as Brian Flores has. I don't know how you replicate Brian Flores. The hope obviously is that he returns. McDaniel is, the Dolphins started, I believe, 1-5. Many teams, that's season over. Everybody knows you're not going to the playoffs. You can't rally momentum. You can't get guys interested. I will credit them. They played over 500 ball the rest of the way under Mike McDaniel, and he will be coaching somewhere. And I hope it's not Detroit, because I think he can be a very effective coach.
Can I ask you, and I'm with you, Mike McDaniel going to the Kitties, I just want nothing to do with that. And that's an upgrade maybe to the consistency of the offense. In the end, if you're just snagging box scores and statistics, they were the fourth highest scoring offense in the league and number 2/1 for a large part of the year until they started to see those struggles here at the end of the season. Part of my, and McDaniel, absolutely an upgrade. John Morton, he's going to fall on the grenade. He's no longer with the team. He's been fired. But, you got Terrion Arnold, who they drafted a couple years ago. Not only is he penalty laden, but he can't stay healthy. Brian Branch out of the mix. Kirby Joseph out of the mix. Laporta's going to obviously be a factor on the offensive side. Onwuzurike, that Levi cat that, kind of ham and eggs comparison to Aiden Hutchinson, but still a productive member of that defense. Is there more potentially when you in memoriam of their season, you're lamenting the injuries you overcame a year ago that you did not overcome for a second year in a row? I just think they had too many guys hurt on defense.
They did. The secondary was, for the second year in a row, a complete wreck with injuries. Their best players missing. They were starting 4th, 5th, and 6th stringers across cornerback and safety at the end of the year. Amik Robertson was the worst starting cornerback in the league, and they were trotting him out for almost the entire season because they didn't have a choice. So the Lions have got to figure out, do we keep getting all of our roster hurt because of something we're doing internally, or is it just bad luck?
Yeah.
And
it's the worst of luck.
Terrible luck for them. I think there are things that you can do to be a healthier team. The Vikings have been predominantly a healthy team for the past couple of years, for the most part. I think I think there are things they could do better to keep themselves. And I don't know what they are, but I think there are good and they're better than worse trainers and trainer plans out there.
Well, I just wonder too. Is the GM Bob Quinn still? I forget what the guy's name is. The GM in Detroit.
That is Brad Holmes.
Brad Holmes. My bad. Sorry. But we were kind of lauding him, and rightfully so, the same way that we would laud a Brett Veach. And PA went down that line. We're just like, wow, Juergens, and you just think about some of the draft moves that they were making in combination with their ability to win. And you could say that with Gibbs and Laporta. You think about the moves that Brad Holmes has made over the last 3-4 years. Well, I wonder in some ways if you're having that conversation in Detroit now this offseason, you're talking about DJ Reed, who I thought for the most part was a non-factor. You went after him in free agency. I mentioned Terrion Arnold. Terrion Arnold, not to say that he's a bust, but for where you got him and what you need from him, he has not shown up.
It's true.
And he is one of the more penalized corners in the league. The rookie, I'm losing his name here in terms of the Georgia cat, how they handled the O-line, is a second rounder. They had Ratledge. They had to bounce him around. They got Graham Glasgow, who was not good at center and trying to play center again, and how they weren't able to replace Ragnow effectively in their plans. So after such, what a run they had for a 2-3 year stretch in terms of drafting, their draft and free agent moves fell off a cliff. And so the inability to kind of protect themselves against these injuries, I think they're probably having a Brad Holmes, like, we love that W streak, but you put some L's on us here, my friend. Like, this offseason for them is probably vital, maybe similar to how we're talking about it in Minnesota.
That name, Frank Ragnow, this could be an out-of-nowhere underrated part of the offseason equation. Let's not forget Frank did try to come back late in the season and, grade 3 hammy or whatever it was with, if his desire is to return and to play and he gets a full walk up to it, handling organized team activities and stuff like that, how he wants it, up to training camp. If they get Ragnow back, man,
that'd be huge. Taylor Decker's going to retire.
Really?
And Elephantine Dan Skipper is expected to retire.
Mm-hmm.
And if you lose those two guys, don't get Ragnow back, different positions, but still, that's a big loss for a team that has had the luxury of great offensive line play for a decade.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's 10:25. That's the voice of Paul Charchian here for a marathon segment around the corner where we will dive into some of these playoff games, beginning with the L.A. Rams and the Carolina Panthers. Rams favored by 10 and a hook. You're listening to the Friday Football Feast on KFAN. Do you have big opinions for the Super Bowl? I don't. I mean, the common thread has been it seems to have unpredictability to it this year. In fact, chatting with Coach John Hines, coach of the Minnesota Wild yesterday, a football fan, we went down the road of this year in the postseason reminds us a little bit of when the LA Kings won the Stanley Cup as an 8 seed. I mean, they were a bottom seed and, in the Western Conference, and they ascended and won the Stanley Cup. So I'm not necessarily saying that the bottom seed in one of the conferences is going to win the Super Bowl, but if the common thread had kind of been that it's at least with Nordo and I that there's some unpredictability to the NFL playoffs this postseason. I wonder how that factors into the ones, Denver and Seattle. And the premise of the conversation here, Charch, is I'm having a tough time figuring out A, who's going to get to the Super Bowl, and B, who wins it.
Well, from my standpoint, I have a big opinion on the AFC. I guess this is it's a big opinion while on the fence. I believe that either the Broncos or the Patriots will be representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. And the Broncos in the catbird seat, everyone's got to go through Mile High, and just so impressed with what Vrabel's done year one. And so I'm picking the top 2 seeds. That's very chalky in the land of Super Bowls. You're generally seeing those teams. I get that.
Yeah.
I just don't look at one of those situations, one of those years like you mentioned with the Kings. I don't see that in the AFC. An easy one would say, well, look at those Jags. You're disrespecting Duval. I think they're going to have a hard time getting through the Bills this weekend, as a matter of fact. So the Bills would be the one team that replicates what you're talking about with the Kings.
Yeah.
The NFC, man, with these West teams, and the Niners might just not have it from a health standpoint, but they're still a team with Shanahan and company that I can't discount. And the Seahawks and Rams, again, one of those 3 West teams just feels like they're going to find a way one way or the other, as they've impressed me this year in totality. The NFC just muddier, I think, than the AFC this year.
Well, let's begin with the Rams, 10.5-point favorites at Carolina. Carolina beat the LA Rams. That Sunday, the Vikings were getting shut out by the Seattle Seahawks. There were 2 polarizing things that took place. Awaiting the game in the Cappuccino Capital, I'm in the Lumen cafeteria with Ben Gessling and Lavelle Neal III, and watching the end of this Carolina Panthers game against the Rams. And I'm like, damn, look at Carolina go. They're going to win the game. So then the Vikings get shut out. And after the game, I walk into Kevin O'Connell's post-game press conference. Up on the TV, the New York Giants are forcing the Motor City Kitties into a super high-scoring overtime game. Yes. And I'm like, damn, look at this aberration day, man. We just got shut out. Carolina beat Stafford and the Rams, and then the Giants almost beat the Detroit Lions. So that was a polarizing Sunday. I can't say that I would pick Carolina to win this game, but 10.5. What do you guys think?
Well, their defense is quite good, and they've got the best young set of cornerbacks in the league.
Yeah,
in J.C. Horn and Mike Jackson. And if those guys can have just a monster game and corral Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, and keep those guys in check, well, there's your path. There's your path to another upset win for the Panthers over the Rams. Because those guys, they are the cornerbacks versions of Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. Elite level corners, if they just get put on gigantic games of their lives, there's your path right there. And if I were betting, I would take the Panthers in the points and see if they can keep this thing close, and I think they can. Still think the Rams win, but there really is a path to victory for Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, if they can shut down the run at all, I just don't think that there's a path to this even being a competitive game. And in particular, you can laud Bryce Young in the season that he's had and just operating with that within that offense. But you look at it, $127 through the air, $125, $198. His final 3 games of the season, they lose 2 of them. Mm-hmm. I just think if they can't run the ball, it is truly all about that defense and how they can limit the Rams. I just think in this spot, McVay's like, all right, we kind of bleeped around a little bit here on the back end of things. We're just going to push that button and we're going to mow them down. I think 10.5. It's a heavy amount to cover. But I would lay the points. I think
the Green Bay Packers on the road at Soldier Field are favored by 1.5. Now this thing opened at pick and went up to 1.5, where it rests now. The A topic out of this game as of now are the weather conditions, where the winds are going to be maybe on average around 30 miles per hour, with gusts higher than that off Lake Michigan. Temp's going to be around 32, maybe a little higher.
Oh, what kind of precipitation could you get at right around 32 degrees, Paul?
You want it? You've asked for it.
It could be some sleet.
There could be some sleet. That's right. It's
unreported, but it frequently is.
The conditions will be right for a sleet sighting in Chicago on Saturday night.
See, if I were playing this game, I don't know what the over-under is in this game, but when you see winds like that, a majority of the people in the 702 or wherever going to shove those chips in on the under. It's just got to be an under. It's got to be an under. It's got to be an under. It's got to be an under.
It's 44.5 right now.
It's that high with winds. Well, this game's going over. So this thing right here, Green Bay 1.5. I've just like some of these other games, man, I'm just struggling with it a little bit. But in deep diving the Packers and Bears most recent game, Green Bay was about a 96% winner with 2 or 3 minutes to go. And then you got Jacobs fumbling inside the 5, Romeo Doubs acting like he's never seen an onside kick in his life. And, it took a couple of major things to happen for the Bears to get it to overtime. So, I don't know. I kind of like Green Bay in this game. What about you guys?
I like Green Bay as well. I think this game with the sleet and with the wind,
I'd bet over.
You'd bet over on the points?
And I'm the worst total prognosticator ever. I am.
So I'm curious, you're talking about kind of game flow of their games. They had 255 yards combined rushing in their first one. They had 342 yards rushing in their second matchup.
Jeez.
That
plays into the under.
Would we put a rushing total of 299.5 and just call it good, or 275-ish somewhere? Whether it's Monungai and Swift, it's Jacobs, of course, the bell cow.
Depends on the wind, because both teams are having significant problems rushing the quarterback. And when the game turned, the second game, the one at Soldier Field, Caleb Williams got over the top of this Packer secondary with deep shot after deep shot after deep shot. And before I looked at this weather report here, I kind of thought that was a harbinger maybe a little bit into this game, because I do believe the Bears can get over the top on the Packers defense with the passing game. But I also think a rested Packers team has an opportunity to unfurl some things in the passing game that maybe haven't been seen in the first 2 games. However, from a weather standpoint, that may inhibit the passing activities in this game. But nevertheless, it's kind of a 50-50 game here.
Monumental game for Jordan Love. He's so far into his career. These are absolutely the kinds of games you are paid to go win on the road in the division against, by the way, a secondary that has been bad this year. If Love doesn't step up here, there's going to be a long offseason of questions around Green Bay, and especially with Malik Willis looking fantastic, and he's going to go get paid by somebody as a starter. There's going to be a ton of questions about Jordan Love and whether or not he really is the franchise quarterback they've paid him to be. These are big moments for him. and why I believe you're both wrong on the outcome of this game.
You think the Bears got it?
Bears are going to run the ball so effectively. They've got a phenomenal run blocking, great offensive line, period. They were number 1 in pass block win rate, number 6 in run block win rate. If the conditions are as bad as you're describing, this is going to be DeAndre Swift, Kyle Monangai doing these stretch read runs that they are so good at, as Ben Johnson has basically got his Chicago version of what he had with the Lions in a poor man's version of Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery, now with Monangai and Swift. And it's going to take those conditions. He is going to power run the ball. He's going to find Colston Loveland in the middle of the field. Luther Burden streaking down the field. And he's got Roma Dunze back for the first time in a month.
That helps.
I think Ben Johnson.
What's your playoff fantasy lineup look like, Charch?
I just described it in painstaking detail. Chicago is going to win this game on the ground.
Anybody like Green Bay, Chicago, the Rams, or Carolina to get to the Super Bowl?
The Rams.
Yeah,
I do not.
Are you picking Seattle to get to the Super Bowl?
I like the Rams out of the NFC.
Okay. I do too. Rams or Seattle, one of those two. But I'm having trouble because when we get to Philadelphia, in fact, we can do them now. Niners at Philadelphia. Philadelphia favored by 5.5, opened to 3.5, went up to 5.5. The left tackle for the 49ers, very, 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 very much in question in this game. Mm-hmm. If he doesn't play, holy cow, that changes the whole thing. But Philadelphia rested everybody in its final game and acted like a team that we're good. Everybody stop worrying about us. We're fine. We're going to get a game at home, and to start things. And we know what this whole thing and all the pressure associated with it's like, as do the Rams, a lot of these Rams, but we're fine. So I like Philadelphia to beat the 49ers by 6 points or more. What about you guys?
I'm on Philadelphia as well. Now, Philadelphia, in terms of their ability to push button and go, that's just too problematic this year. Yeah. But I do like them for one game at Lincoln Financial. Everybody's fresh. Everybody has that renewed team goal moving forward. Hey, we are the defending champs. Hey, we are hosting the Niners. I think they'll be up for this game. I do like them winning this thing. But again, just the weird thing about Jalen Hurts and his offense and a new coordinator every year, and we spend so much time talking about how they get the best out of him, and we saw it. As good as it gets, I think, in that game that they played at U.S. Bank Stadium. But the lack of Saquon's explosion over the course of entire games.
That has to change.
And a problem in this season. But how does it change? Throwing
it to him more. And I don't know why they didn't as much this year as they did last year. And his numbers were precipitously down, no doubt about it. But so were several of the Eagles' numbers offensively
across the board
and defensively. Yeah. So there's probably something more to this that would prohibit, me and or others from taking them to get to the Super Bowl.
Are they dealing with similar O-line issues, maybe different personnel as the Lions are?
They're right tackle Lane Johnson, and I'm not sure if he's playing this weekend, but he's missed a fair amount of time.
But replacing Mekhi Becton. Now, Mekhi Becton, not HOF, but what he did when he moved inside to resurrect his career as part of the 2,000-yard campaign.
Very much could be part of it.
He was an earth mover, and I just maybe they're having some of those issues, which would lend to the idea. Let's get Saquon out there, throw him the ball, and find some space himself.
It's too touchy-feely or too conspiratorial to think, did you guys really hold up on the Saquon passing game the entire season to set it up for the postseason?
Wow.
But if Saquon starts catching 5 to 8 a game, and all of a sudden if nobody can run on Carter or Davis, and Cooper DeJean's jumping routes, Quinyon Mitchell is locking somebody down, and Zach Bond is stealing the show against the run and against the pass, who's going to be surprised? I'm not. So if Philadelphia gets to the Super Bowl, I know I'm probably in the minority here with people listening. I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't either. They just have to flip the switch and be a better team, especially offensively, than they have been all year. The other running back, we spent a lot of time on Saquon Barkley. The other running back, Christian McCaffrey, averaging 3.9 yards per carry this year. His receiving has been elite as always, but the running hasn't been the same.
Yeah.
And Jordan Davis is having the best year of his career. The elephantine interior lineman for the Eagles has been phenomenal.
It's the second elephantine reference
in one show. That's right. And I think when Christian McCaffrey can't run, now Brock Purdy has to come up with the biggest game of his life.
Right.
And I don't know that he can do that against Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell and a Vic Fangio defense. I at the end of the day, and I like Purdy. I think Purdy's a dramatically underappreciated quarterback overall, but I feel like this is a really hard spot, and Purdy will have to play almost perfectly to make up for a ground game that's not going to get going.
Now, Buffalo's at Jacksonville, and Buffalo's favored by 1.5. I did not put a lot of time into the Jacksonville Jaguars this year. We're not on the Viking schedule. Just kind of followed them from afar. What Trevor Lawrence has done over the last month and a half.
Unreal.
I mean, 19 touchdowns against 1 interception is what he's generating. I had no idea how good their defense was. And this tight end, Brenton Strange, I followed him from afar. But Brian Thomas, the deep threat, and Etienne has become a legitimate running back again, where they can count on him. They have a 1-2 punch there. But with Trevor Lawrence, I have no idea what clicked with him middle of the season on. But I mean, he's OG right now. He's got to be the hottest quarterback in the National Football League right now.
He is. So
after putting some time into this game yesterday and absolutely not trusting Buffalo's run defense, I mean, even as far as I can throw either one of you, if I were in the 702, my largest wager would be on Jacksonville plus 1.5. What about you guys?
Ooh. Trevor Lawrence, you mentioned, hottest quarterback in the NFL. Last 6 games, those 19 touchdowns, Paul, in 6 games. Liam Cohen should...
It was 6, not 8?
Yeah, last 6 games, 19 touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence. What Liam Cohen has done should absolutely have him in the conversation for Coach of the Year, along with Mike Vrabel should be there, McDonald should be there.
Yep.
But Cohen as well. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, nobody thought Trevor Lawrence had it in him to make the Jaguars, what are they, a 2 seed, I think, in the AFC? I think they're the 2 seed.
3 seed.
3 seed. Nobody talking about that.
Yeah.
And everybody going into the season thought Trevor Lawrence was a middling, at best, NFL passer, and all Liam Cohen did was do the same thing for Trevor Lawrence that he had done for Baker Mayfield before that, and turn this kid into a reliable, explosive player. Jacksonville got a huge boost a few weeks ago when they went to Denver and smoked Denver. And I think that's when you start to believe in this team. And on the Bills side, you just say, do they have enough receiving weapons? James Cooks has been great. He led the NFL in rushing yards. But can you win with Tyrell Shavers and Josh Palmer and
Khalil Shakir?
And who I like Khalil Shakir, but they're starting Gabe freaking Davis. It feels, it's weird to say this, it feels like just the better team, better roster is the Jacksonville Jaguars. And if you're taking brand equity off the table and you just looked at how these teams have played this year, the Jaguars have been the better team.
See, when I look at things, it's like, okay, what's going to surprise me if Buffalo jumps up and wins this game handily? And Buffalo's favored on the road. So, I mean, I respect that. Josh Allen, best in show. Completely respect him. Likewise for James Cook. I just, when I got into the defense for the Buffalo Bills, in certain situations against certain teams who play the way Jacksonville plays, they have balance to them. And Jacksonville, Cohen is running a power running vertical passing game.
Yeah.
I mean, they're throwing over the top all the time and not necessarily completing them all. But they have things designed where you have to pay attention to this deep passing game. That's helped Etienne exponentially this year. Likewise for that tight end Strange. So, if Josh Allen scores 4 touchdowns, how surprised am I going to be? Right. He's unbelievably good.
Right.
Outside of that, I just, like you said, I think the better roster is with the Jaguars.
One last thing on this game. Jaguars have the best run defense in the NFL. They allowed the fewest rushing yards. I
had no idea about that.
So if James Cook is sitting on a 45-yard game, and he might be, now Josh Allen has to go get that 4-touchdown game. He's got to be a superhero with the receivers he's got. Right. I don't know. I don't know that that's going to happen here. I would take the Jaguars and take the points.
Yeah, that's why I would absolutely. This is a 0% chance I would even bet on this game, because if Allen's foot is going to allow him to run again, which has been a huge mitigator for him over the last few games.
Wow.
That can be a game changer where Josh Allen absolutely can just go and run for a 40-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
And he's shown that on multiple occasions.
And I see what Vegas is doing here with this line, because go ahead and make Josh Allen an underdog.
Right.
I mean, you're going to make, because Vegas is not in the predicting business. It's in the balancing the ledger business,
right,
to collect the 10% VIG. So, Nordo bets $1 million, Charch bets $1 million. There's $100,000 on each side that goes to the house.
Yeah.
So go ahead and make Josh Allen an underdog. I mean, you'll have odd wagering there,
Yeah, their ability to shut down James Cook is probably the story of this game, in combination with the who that they have cooking out there at wide receiver. Keon Coleman has been really nothing short of a disaster for them.
Yeah.
Khalil Shakir.
Like he and Marvin Harrison Jr. are the same human.
Yeah, just where are they?
Right.
And where is Keon? And he's getting healthy scratched because he can't get his head screwed on straight in practices and off the field and such. And Khalil Shakir, cool bit player. So how do they stretch it? They're stretching it with the Thayer bits and these guys. But I could never bet on this game, because Allen can just go to Jacksonville and say, no big deal, guys. My foot's fine. I'm going to run it 15 times, and best of luck to you. But you see him get dragged down in road games, whether it's specifically you look at that Texans game, another AFC South game. Texas defense is on another level than everybody basically this year. But when Allen doesn't have it, he doesn't have it in a massive way this season.
Right.
And if Lawrence can do what he's been doing with Etienne and just that receiving core, what is his name? Jacory Myers coming in, just that. I mean, Jacoby Myers, excuse me.
Oh yeah, Myers too.
He's good
in that mix, right?
Yeah,
yes.
and it's
middle of the field guy.
Yeah, and no one's talking about him like Jamar Chase, but their ability to make those guys as productive as they have been and rise above Brian Thomas's kind of descension productivity wise has really been nothing short of remarkable. So I couldn't bet on it, but Jags, great opportunity for them to beat Josh Allen and the Bills at home on Sunday.
I will be betting on it. I will be in Las Vegas. I will be betting on the Jaguars, and I will be having no fun, because rooting against Josh Allen is the black hole of fun. And I'm going to be sitting there like, just sweating that whole game, having no fun.
Yeah, Buffalo has this Jacksonville does, right?
Yeah.
This downfield fast thing.
Yep.
Well, just put
Slippery.
put him in the mix too. Holy cow. Yeah. And finally on this one I love these situations. Trevor Lawrence acid tested for class here. Look what you've done the last month and a half. You're ballyhooed. Everybody in the league's talking about you from Cape Coral to the cornfields of Minnesota. And but now it's a pressure moment. You're at home, loud crowd against Josh Allen. That's a fantastic scenario. Chargers at New England. Patriots favored by 3.5 as the 2 seed. Patriots favored by 3.5 at home as the 2 seed. What y'all think about that?
They're going to kill him. I understand the consensus thinking is that New England's soft schedule invalidates their wins, and I just don't see it that way. You play the schedule you're given, and they're absolutely smoking these other teams. Last 2 games, they've scored 90 points, and they've given up 20. This team, the Patriots are completely legit, and they get massively important. This was the NFL's best run defense for most of the season until early December. They had a couple of key injuries, including their defensive tackle, Milton Williams. He comes back for the Patriots, and they go right back to being an elite run defense. And now, if you can't get Omarion Hampton going, Kamani Vidal going, now you're putting Justin Herbert behind the league's worst pass blocking line, missing both left tackles. Joe Alt is out.
Yeah. That was a big loss, Joe
Rashawn
Alt.
Slater out. I mean, those are, it's just Herbert is sitting on a long, painful day. They're not going to be able to run, and the Patriots are going to crush in this game.
The con.
I don't really have anything to add. I think Herbert's been mediocre to bad in his 2 playoff appearances, and last year just getting absolutely hammered on. He threw 3 or 4 picks. I think it was against the Texans. Herbert having to rise to this moment in this spot, I don't see it happening at all. And as I mentioned earlier, I think it's either the Broncos or the Patriots in the Super Bowl. And step one for them is truly just dropping the hammer on the Chargers this weekend. I think it'll be lopsided.
I do too. Their running game, by the way, it's gone berserk.
New England?
Yeah.
It's a nice one, too.
Oh, man, is it?
Stevenson bangs on you and bangs on you, and then Henderson runs around you.
You got it.
Yeah,
well, Henderson straight up, he's kind of just like home run or 5.
Yep.
He really is just, right now, and he's got a lot of room to grow, but
he's fast.
The way that and they stuck with Stevenson through his fumbling issues earlier in the season.
Yeah, that's right.
And he got nicked up a little bit. Henderson goes off. Now, I think Stevenson comes back from injury. He's got a 3-touchdown game, something like that. Like, that's a sweet little tandem they have.
Yeah, they combined for 5 touchdowns last week. Their 2 running backs did. And I love that they use Henderson in the receiving game. They line him up out wide as a receiver 5-6 times a game. I love how they use their runners in New England.
Houston at Pittsburgh Monday. That's the final with Super Wild Card Weekend. The Steelers are catching 3 points at home. DK Metcalf returns for the Steelers. Houston with that nice defense. CJ Stroud's representing himself pretty nicely these days. Houston at Pittsburgh to finish Wild Card Weekend. Nordo, you go first here, brother.
Yeah, I think that the Texans win this game. This could be among maybe the lower scoring games of the weekend. And DK is going to be back. I know all of that. This one is just what you're bringing up there to Pittsburgh with this Texans defense. I think is going to be the toughest and probably the most grinding performance that Rodgers is going to have to endure the totality of this season. I have the Texans. What did you say? That I got to find the spread again.
3.
Yeah, that'll be them covering that 3 and winning that game.
What about you, Charch?
I also believe Houston will win. They should not be underdogs. The Steelers just played their playoff game last week against
Houston's favored.
Okay.
Yeah, Houston by a field goal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I had it the wrong way. I believe Houston will win. Steelers just played their playoff game in that win against Baltimore. I think they might be down a little bit after that game that went down to the wire. And just Houston's got the best defense in the league. You know, where you can beat Houston is that offensive line is ratty. You can get to Stroud, but he's got all his receivers healthy. Ed Ingram, though. He's got all his receivers
Ed Ingram
healthy.
is the starter, by the way, is 40-17. He's been part of teams that are 40
and 17.
Or 19. 40 and 19.
Jeez.
It's a conversation for a different day.
That probably is right there.
Everybody tells me he's terrible, but everybody keeps using him and winning games.
Houston has beaten Patrick Mahomes. They've beaten Sam Darnold, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen. I mean, I don't think Aaron Rodgers who's playing well is not so good that awesome Houston defense is going to have many struggles.
Super Bowl teams, boys?
As of now, I would have Rams. It's Rams and either Patriots or Broncos. I'm going to go Rams-Broncos.
I'm going to go Rams-Jags.
Oh, I like that. Seahawks and Patriots.
Since Charch and I are leaving now, you'll be with Nordo for the final hour. Super Bowl teams. Who do you like and why?
Seattle and Jacksonville.
Seattle and Jacksonville? Right on. Gives you and Nordo something to chat about, along with all these stories that you've had of late, and Brian Flores related information that Alex been all over and on top of. Charch, great seeing you, brother.
It's so good to be back in.
Microphone's open for you anytime you want it.
Awesome.
Nordo, see you next week.
Absolutely. Have a great weekend, man.
Alec Lewis and Nordo take you through the next hour on KFAN.